Before we start talking about classes, I just made a few little changes to the code in the previous example. So let me just go over them real quick. So first of all, I put the location, which I was declaring in here for the stars X and Y, into variables, which is going to be allowing me to edit them out later. And with each iteration of the draw in each loop, I'm actually multiplying it, the x by cosine of the frame count and y by the sine of the frame count, which is going to make this star move on a circular path. If you're a bit confused by the trigonometry in here, don't be. We're going to be covering that in more depth in Math Week. This is just using polar coordinates to draw a circular path. And then I'm just drawing the star over and over in draw. So it's just moving slowly. So if I run it in here, you can see that my star is moving. And one thing that I can do is I can actually take all of that movement and create a new function. Maybe I'll name it like shooting star or something, because it's making the star move. So I will take the parameters of x and y again. And then, okay, maybe let's make this a global variable, which means that it's going to be accessible from here. So yeah, when I have a global variable, it means that like all of the functions can access it, and I don't need to deal with the block scope, and it's going to be allowing me to have less bugs. Okay, and then my shooting star, I'm just going to cut everything in here, run it in here, and I call the shooting star from this function now. Let's run it, and it should be the same. Yep, perfect. Great. So yeah, we have this star going in a circle, which is quite looking nice. One cool thing that we can actually do is like, if we edit out the alpha of the canvas a bit, then it gives us like this, I don't know, it's like a sci-fi slow motion effect. And yeah, you can like increase it a bit more to have it like a different effect. And if you can make it like very small, it's just going to look crazy. So yeah, if you're interested in this, definitely play around with it. I'm just going to go back to normal. Great. So in the previous tutorial, when we were talking about functions, I mentioned that wouldn't it be sweet if the shape we are drawing already remembered its x location, y location, color, and also action that it's making, because right now there are so many things happening. This star is not only getting drawn in a certain shape and type, but it's also performing different actions. Like when you think about it, there are so many things going on. A star, it needs like x and y location. It needs its like color. It needs its size. It has its like motion action. It needs its number of points. It's just getting out of hand. Like right now, I'm only drawing one star, which is quite nice. But if I have to draw multiple stars with all different properties, it's just going to go out of hand. And this is why actually classes are one of the best options you can have. And it's just going to make our lives much more easier. You can think about class as a new object type you're declaring within your code. Like, you know how we have color as an object, and it is allowing us to remember RGB values and alpha values. And we can like make our own color objects eventually. This is what we can do with classes for our own custom objects. And the way to declare a class is you write the keyword class, and then you write the name of your class. So it's going to be star. The usual general convention is to use capital letters at the beginning, but there's nothing strict about it. It's all up to you, honestly. And this is going to be the skeleton, the framework for our star object, which is going to be remembering all of these crazy properties that a star will have. So let me just put them up in there. Okay. But just because we declared a class, that's not the whole thing. We still need to do a bit more. So first of all, each class, they need this special function called constructor. Let me just make sure I don't make a typo. Constructor. And when we're actually writing functions within our classes, we don't need to write the keyword function. We just write the name of the function and we put parentheses. And then we make our own blocks. Let me just put a note in here. Constructor is a must-have function for each class. Allows us to create objects. And yeah, with constructor, we basically construct objects and we initialize the values we want the object to remember. So as we have already noted down in here, we want the class of a star to have an X and Y location. Maybe for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to make it location X, location Y, and then it needs a color. So star color. It does need a motion, which is going to be declared as a different function, so we don't need to worry about that. But it does need a star size, and it needs a star number of points. Great. And so what's happening is right now, like we are creating this constructor class, and we are putting all of the variables we will need to initialize as parameters that can pass as arguments. But we also need to have the certain variables that are placed inside that class object. And that's why we're using this keyword called this, which refers to the object that's being created. I'll just write it down in here for your reference. Refers to the object that is being created. So this special stars X is going to be location X, the variable that we just passed, and the special classes Y is going to be location Y, color, and this dot n, number of corners. Nice. So now the object we're creating, it remembers everything. But we still have the motion that the star is performing, which is just going around in circles and circles. So for that, we will need to create a different function within our class. And I'm just going to name it shoot. And just like the way I declare a function, I open up my blocks and I can just go down in here and copy everything from here. but I cannot just keep it as like X and Y like I used to, because I need to refer to the X of that special star. So it has to be this dot X, this dot Y. This is very important. Just make sure that you're keeping a track of the inherent variables that you're placing in object and you're not mixing it up. I have had quite a lot of experiences where my code was not working, and this is one of the number one debugging things to be on the lookout for. And we can also have the star function that we are using in here as a separate function for our classes. So I'm just going to say show. Let me just paste everything in here. And yep, unfortunately, we're not done. Still have to put this in front of everything. Just let me make sure I don't miss out anything. It's that size. And we also rotate by this dot n. X and size, color. All seems good. Now, so my class starts in here and in here. And one thing I like to do is I just like to comment out where my class star ends for the sake of clarity, and my other functions start. Okay, so right now I can just comment this one out, comment this one out too. I'm not going to be using it for a while. I would still like to keep my X and Y. That's going to be helpful. And I also have my color one. Right. So let's start by creating a new variable called maybe my star. And we're going to be using the constructor function we have just created within the class star. So the way we do is, the way you create a new object is you need to use the keyword new, and then you put the name of your class, and you put all of the variables one by one. So we have X and Y, we have color, size, and n. So my color is going to be called 1. My size is going to be 10. And my number of corners is going to be 5. And when I run this, nothing is going to happen, because although I have just started to create this star object, it's not doing anything yet. But we have already declared some actions for it, right? We have the push, we have the show. Okay. So when I run this class, nothing's happening, because although I've just started this star object, it's not doing anything. But we have made a few actions for it, didn't we? Like we have the show and we have the shoot. So what I can do is I can show my star, and I can call that action function by just saying my star dot show. Then make sure, yep, it's lowercase, no typos are happening. And my star appears in here. And if I want to move it, I can also do my star dot shoot. And if I run it now, my star is slowly rotating around and having a good time. So another thing is, if you look at the star class, it's creating a bit of a cluster in my code, ain't it? Like right now it's fine because I only have one class, but then like if I'm having multiple classes and if I'm also like writing all of these things inside here, it's just going to get so overwhelming. And one thing that I can do is I can use different files. So let me just cut this all out. And then I go in here, this plus, let's name it star. And I move my star function, sorry, and I move my star class in here. Just paste it all up, go back to my sketch and run it. And now it's better. It's giving me a bit more new pages to work on, and it's usually general coding convention to have your classes in separate JavaScript files so they don't interfere and clamp up your code. And this is actually some practice I will be expecting from you when you're making your own projects. I do not want to see your classes appearing within your main sketch file. I want them to be in the separate JavaScript files, so it's going to be allowing you to access them, and you can make multiple main classes. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so before we go to the next tutorial, I also wanted to just demonstrate how it would look like to have two different star objects by declaring different variables. So let me just walk through the code real bit. It's not much different from the very first thing. I just declared that separate color, initialized it in the setup, and then I also declared the let x1 and y1 values and made a new star, which this time has four corners, and its initial starting position is a bit closer to the center of the canvas. And it just still does the shoot and show actions, and I also just reduced the alpha of the background, so when I run it, I'm able to get this like very cool intermingling gradient shape that's getting drawn over and over, and this is very nice and very relaxing in my opinion. Also, one of the beauties of that is that all of these objects, star 1 and star 2, they're dealing with their actions by themselves, and after I declare it, I don't need to worry about it. It's very nice when you think about it in a coding perspective as well as yeah, just modularity and scalability. So yeah, let's hop on to the next tutorial now.